Ain't no high stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you for continuing to rock with us tonight here as we go through the show. We appreciate our sister Tamika Robinson, who joined us in the inaugural segment, as we called it, the Legal Eagle. It was real dope, so we appreciate her. But anyway, tonight, I guess going forward in the show, we'll have Mr. LP Stephen Sykes join us in the next segment. And a big part of the reason why we'll have him on the show is to talk about the Black Panther movie. And he and I have had some pretty contentious conversations about it in person and social media and that sort of thing. And we're working towards trying to get to a middle ground. But one of the things that we will talk about in the next segment is a brother who had a video clip that is online. It's about a minute long, but he has some pretty strong words for those folks who are looking to see the movie and the movie in itself. Mr. LP, Stephen Sykes, and I will have our debate about that later on. But while I'm here now with the utility player who's still here, Mr. 3375, we'll play the clip. He and I are going to talk about it. Take a listen.
First things first, I'm not telling anybody not to go see the movie. If you want to see the movie, go see the movie, go support the black actors. However, I am saying do not forget that it is still a white movie. We cannot think that the Hollywood, which we know is racist, all of a sudden is shooting a movie because they just want to show black people in a better light. We can't think that they're going to do a movie like this without putting some kind of subliminal messages in it. Another thing folks keep saying is this movie is black empowerment. How can a movie created by our enemies be black empowerment? How can it be our empowerment if it's derived from the folks who have been fighting us tooth and nail? How can a movie that has to go to final edit to a white man who hates us be black empowerment? Think about that.
Ain't no high stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Okay, so we've heard it. Mr. 3375, you've heard it. You posted that in social media, so I know that you've got some opinions about it. So let's get right to it. You up first. What's your thoughts?
When I first looked at it, man, I was like, because I followed this guy, and he's not happy about anything. Anything that somebody put out black, he always got something, negative to say to make you think and be like, okay, wow. But when I was looking at this clip, I was like, okay, maybe he got some type of a point, but I don't think the world is actually looking at it like that. I think the world is actually looking at it as we finally have a movie, a black superhero that that the first black superhero, quote, quote, if you look at it, that's mainstream. And I think to some point, that it's still a white movie when you think of who's distributing it, who's I think it's what Warner Brothers, Lionsgate, or Disney. All of that's owned by white people, but still at the end of the day, it's still a black movie for us. So that's how I look at it. Like, I'm still going to support it. I'm still going to support the black actors and all of that, but still it's a black movie for us, regardless of who's at the head of the chain.
Right. Well, I mean, when you posted it, there's a few comments that we got in here, people that wanted to get in. Maya says, why can't we just enjoy the movie? Right. Edie says, I will support black business. I will support the blackness of the movie. Other than that, it's just a Hollywood movie. I got to stop letting these people tell our story. It doesn't matter if they cool or not. One thing is that we seem to have trouble with is they are loyal to their race and they give no who don't like it. I tend to agree with that. Hakeem says it's a movie for entertainment purposes only. Cut the BS. You people will complain about any damn thing. Matt says, created by enemies, final edit by a guy who hates us, subliminal messages. Sounds like paranoia to me with a touch of hate speech. How about it's a comic book movie and not about race? Either go enjoy it or don't, but just accept it for what it is. It's not a movie about black empowerment or a movie created by your enemies. It's just a superhero movie with a black cast because it's an origin story about a superhero who is African. From the looks of it, at least a good portion takes place in Africa. Juan says, this dude doesn't allow you to enjoy anything. I think he's speaking of the author. And Stewart says, sometimes we can be too damn deep to a point of not even being honest. Here he's on a damn social media network started by a white guy at the age of 20 and is a billionaire 10 times over, and dude got the audacity to talk about white people having some hidden agenda with green lighting the Black Panther movie. Question mark. The movie not only has an all-star, mostly black cast, but blacks directing, writing, costume design, black kids and their parents, and others will see an awesome movie with a damn good script, acting, and yes, will be entertained. Yes, I would like to see a real-life black heroes, but then again, did this dude go out of his way to promote Nat Turner, Birth of a Nation? Does he promote black independent films? Come on, man, really?
Right.
So very interesting lot of comments there. And I'm somewhere in the middle.
Right.
You know, with me, I'm somewhere in the middle. I get the intent of what he's trying to say. I'm not as aggressive about it as he is, but I get the intent of what he's trying to say. He's basically saying, you know, don't forget this movie is being made by Marvel and Disney, and those are two white companies.
Right.
And it has been historic. It is our history that white people typically don't go out of their way to promote empowerment in black people.
Right.
And so that is essentially what he's saying, and that's essentially what I've been saying. I've said that I'm looking forward to the movie. I look forward to going to see it. I look forward to, enjoying it, and not just the black cast, but the chocolate people that are in the movie.
Yes,
I look forward
yes.
to that as well. But I've always said, since this debate has come up, that I think that we should also temper some of our enthusiasm and our excitement, and remember that it is a movie.
Right.
It's a tentpole movie for a superhero, for a comic.
Right.
And you know, I just think that we should be mindful of that.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people with his deepness of consciousness is really going to go watch the movie and see how they downplay a lot of stuff. With the other people, are just going to go in there and hopefully it's going to be a great movie and they represent, you know, the black community and our royalty the way it's supposed to. So it's going to be interesting to see Monday morning what the critics is going to say, what the people's going. Actually, now that we've been going to wait to Monday, like Friday,
right? Well, yeah. Oh,
People's gonna come
and
out.
you also
Yeah,
know
it's
how we.
interesting.
You also know how we do. I mean, all you got to
Right.
do is go on Facebook, you know,
Exactly.
Saturday morning, and everybody's going to have, if not their opinion, and potentially some spoilers.
Right.
You know, which I'm not very happy
Exactly.
about
Like,
that.
I'm gonna have to stay off.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You might not. It's like watching Scandal or Empire or
Right.
something. You know, ain't no half stab on Marcus J. Live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio, Mr. 3375, and yours truly, the utility player, of course, making his triumphant return back to the Den in an abbreviated version of the Shampipple Room segment that we used to do back when he was a regular participant on the show. I guess the last thing I'll say, because I know you got one more topic that we're going to get to before we get out of the segment. I guess the last thing that I'll say is I just want to be clear that I understand that Black Panther will have an overwhelming influence on a lot of people, particularly young people. I remember when Barack Obama was elected president of the United States in 2008, my daughter was 5.
Right.
And as a 5-year-old, now 14, you know, but for the current president, all she knew was a black president. She
Right.
was too young to even know who President Bush was.
Right.
You know, even though he was president when she was born, but she was 5
Right.
when Barack Obama was elected. She turned 10 while he was still the president. She
Right.
became a teenager at 13 while he was still a teenager. So
Right.
I get how the images can be empowering.
Right.
And I get how, you know, we can look to certain things and attain a level of pride
Right.
that you may not have had before.
Right.
Where you kind of lose me is we got to be so extra with it all the time.
Right.
I'm wearing this to the movies,
Right.
and I'm wearing that to the movies, and you buy your ticket to go see a movie
Right.
in October that don't come out till February. You know, I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, then cool. You know, but as boisterous as you are about advertising that, and letting
Right.
the world know, you got to know that there are going to be some people who feel different, and they're
Right.
entitled to their opinion,
Right.
just as you are. And that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them or there's
Right.
something wrong with their opinions. You know, opinions are like assholes. Everybody
Right.
knows one. Everybody has one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So which one you want to be?
Right.
You know. So
I just hope the movie don't take away from what Black Lightning and Luke Cage is trying to do in the community. I hope it don't take away from that, because that's Black Lightning and Luke Cage to me is what's happening now
Right.
in our community, and Black Panther is to me is what we should be.
Right. Right.
You know, so I hope it don't kind of take away from those two what they trying to do right now.
Well, how I would respond to that is, you know, we are not monolithic. And I think we get caught up in a monolithic thought process to think that we are just one kind of way.
Right.
And we don't have to be one kind of way. We don't have to vote one kind of way. We don't have to think one kind of way. We can actually have different opinions and both opinions be valid. We can
Right.
have different experiences, which leads to different opinions, which would, you know, allow us to still be authentically black.
Right.
Luke Cage, of course, set in present day in Harlem, and
Right.
you know, I'm not sure exactly where Black Lightning is set, but
Right.
the irony is the same people that created Luke Cage created Black Lightning.
Right.
Now, how about that for irony? And most folks don't know that. You know,
Right.
you want to get in this debate and you don't even know the history of the characters that you're talking
Exactly.
about. And I think we can have a universe, whether it be Marvel or just comics, if you want to encompass big city entertainment and Marvel and DC all together, just kind of in my in the analogy I want to make. But all of that stuff to me is relevant. It's all relevant. You know, no other community sits around and says things like, you know, I don't want to put this out because I think it'll dampen that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think we all should acknowledge and understand that there's enough room for all of those images, especially the positive ones.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I look forward to seeing it. I look forward to having the debate later on in the show with Mr. LP Stephen Sykes.
Right.
And I look forward to having this discussion with anybody who's interested in having it. Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Dan Legacy Internet Radio. You got one more for us?
I do. I got in a debate with one of my Caucasian friends about something you posted earlier today, Marcus.
Something I posted. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Dum, dum,
Yeah,
dum.
'cause I sent it to him, and he sent. And we just had a back and forth, but that's just his white privileges kicking in. But
Wow, okay. Did you just invoke the phrase white privilege?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
But you posted something by the Boston Police Department.
Oh, yeah.
It said, in honor of Black History Month, we pay tribute to the Celtic legend Ray Archibald for being the first NBA coach to draft a black player in 1950. Fill in an African-American starting five in 1964 and hired the league's first African-American head coach, Bill Russell, in 1966. And
I
then-
posted that, yep.
And I
sure
sent through the
did.
whole thing in your comment too. So and you
Read
responded. So-
my comment.
So your comment say, so I'm guessing there weren't any actual black people worthy of them honoring for Black History Month, huh? And he pretty much was like, to me, was like,
Y'all can't be happy with nothing.
exactly,
Yeah, I
like we
know.
being ungrateful. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
know.
are you kidding me right
But
now?
that is the epitome of white privilege.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm not going to steal your thunder. Go ahead. But you notice I knew exactly what he said.
Right.
Yeah. Because
Right.
I've had this discussion before.
Right. So I'm like, come on, like really, like if anything, they should have said, okay, we're just gonna honor the first African American basketball player, not the person who brought him into the league. You know what I'm saying? That's Black history right there. The first African American who was drafted, or the first African American coach. Okay, we all know that it was a white person that got him into the league. Who cares? The person who was the first, they the one that broke the barriers. Like, it was crazy. Like when he hit me back with that, I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" It didn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, I've had this discussion
Right.
with many people in the past, and that's why I knew exactly what your friend said before you
Right.
said it. And that's the reason why I said it out loud before you said it, because I wanted the listeners to know that I knew exactly where he was going. So
Right.
there's a couple of things here. First, the Boston police does not have a very positive reputation with black folks. And you can go into the history of athletics and you will find that a lot of black athletes avoid going to Boston because they are known as one of the most racist northern cities in the country.
Right.
That's the first thing. They hated Jim Rice. You know, as much as Bill Russell is a legend in that town, they weren't very happy with him either.
Right.
It was his teammates, you know, Bob Cousy and Red Auerbach and others, you know, his coach, who came to his defense. So Boston was never a town historically
Right.
that has been favorable to black people. That's the first thing. So to see the Boston Police Department was the one to send out that tweet didn't surprise me.
Right.
Next thing is the implication in that is that Black History Month and the folks who are making achievements in Black History Month still are making those achievements at the hands of a white person that allowed them the opportunity to have these achievements. Now, I don't expect someone that's white to come to that conclusion.
Right.
If they do, then great. If they don't, then you're kind of thinking how I expect, and that is the white privilege,
Right.
You know, and I know like a lot of folks don't like to hear black people use the phrase white privilege, but you have the privilege in this country of being the default.
Right.
When everything is thought of, the first thing that is thought of is you and your perspective. This country,
Right.
founded by white people. This country's whoever sent that tweet, white person. Police departments, white. Judges, white. Lawyers, white. You know, teachers, white. Like everything is white. It's
Right.
62% of the country is white. It's not a bad thing. It's
Right.
is what it is thing. But you are allowed the privilege of everything being seen through your culture.
Right.
And so you, in your mind, don't understand when someone who is mathematically a minority with regards to culture exerts a level of pride that ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
This ain't got nothing to do with you. You know, and so for you to insert someone that's not black into Black History Month, you have no idea how incredibly insulting that is.
Right.
One. And two, it's stupid.
Exactly.
It's stupid. You know what I mean? Wow, we have to thank this white man for giving black people the opportunity to play basketball.
Right.
Just think about how that sounds.
Right.
You know, and it's probably good that he talked to you about it because I don't think he wanted to talk to me about that.
I mean, we got kind of heated a little bit.
Was this
but,
in person or online?
No, this was through the phone. We was talking because when I sent it to him, he called me.
Yeah.
So-
So why did
so
you send it to him?
Huh?
Why did you send it to him?
Because with him, like we debate all the time because he's that person that think we as black people are too sensitive to everything.
Of course.
So I sent him stuff like that,
Yeah.
just to show him, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, just to get his opinion on it.
Because
You
he's
know?
got the privilege of
Right.
never having had to feel
Right.
the way that we felt.
Right. But with that being said, though, this is a Caucasian guy that grew up in the hood with me. We grew up together. So all he known is growing up with black people, but he still have that mind frame of white privilege. You know what I'm saying?
One of my homeboys who comments on a lot of my stuff and our stuff is a white dude that grew up with us, you know, went to school with us,
Right.
and you would think that he would understand, but you know, he voted for Donald Trump, and you
Right.
know, he you know, he'll claim that he don't care that much for him,
Right.
but at the same time, you know, it's a cultural thing with regards to experience. You
Right.
know, just because you grew up with some black folk,
Exactly.
just because you might have a black cousin or
Right.
your son married a black girl, now you got black grandbabies. That shit don't mean nothing.
Exactly.
It don't mean nothing.
Nothing.
Let me make no mistake. That means nothing.
Right.
You will never understand and experience what it is that we've had to deal with. Now, that doesn't mean that we up in here crying in our beer over it.
Right.
We've made some amazing strides, and a lot of the issues and things that we have going on with us now are things that we can change and we can control. You can't walk around and blame the white man because your neighborhood looks a mess. You can't walk around and blame the white man because everybody got a business in your neighborhood except you.
Right.
You can go and you can buy gas from an Arab, food
Right.
from the Chinaman. You know what I'm saying? Chinese person. I shouldn't say Chinaman. My apologies. But you got everybody else in the hood got a business but you.
Right.
And what's that about? Who you blaming for that? You
Right.
blaming the white man for that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this ain't about, crying in our beer and whining about not having things.
Right.
But at the same time, you need to understand, Mr. White Person, that this privilege is real.
Right.
Even if you don't feel it or experience it, doesn't
Right.
mean that it's not real.
That's what I was telling him. I was like, even though, and it's crazy because man, his wife, we get at him all the time. He's married to a black woman.
Of course.
So we,
Of course he is. you held on to that little piece of
Yeah.
information till
Yeah.
now. Of course he's married to a
right.
black woman.
So when we get on him all the time, it's like people they really like white people really don't understand white privileges. It's like some of them do, some of them just don't.
Most of them are offended at the suggestion of it.
Right.
And then they'll use the phrase like reverse racism, which is asinine.
Right.
Because how you want to reverse something that you just acknowledged didn't exist?
Right. Right.
You just said that there's no race, but it's reverse racism.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, I suppose.
Right.
So.
And it's just like I was reading this article on the 13th. I think she was 16. She was mixed race, and she killed her kidnapper and her rapist, and she got I think life or something. She got. Now, if that was a white kid that killed their kidnapper and racist, they would have got off. They would have been like, oh, they was mentally, emotional. They did what they had to do to escape.
That girl was sold in the sex trade.
Exactly.
And that's what happened. I know the story.
Right.
I can't remember the young woman's name, but she
Right.
was sold into a sex trade, and that's the reason why she was captive.
Right.
And she eventually got to the point where she she killed her captor.
Exactly.
So that's the part that kind of blows me. But
Right.
I guess it is what it is. I mean, I think that we would be wise to continue fighting against that kind of stuff. I think
Right.
we would be wise to speak out at every opportunity we can, like you and I do,
That's
and like many of us here at Legacy Internet Radio. And scream it from the highest mountain.
That's right.
When there's nonsense going on, because if you can convert one, then you've done something.
Exactly.
If you don't say nothing, then you can't convert anybody.
Right.
And my dad would tell me this when I was in my 20s, and even when I was in my 30s, he would say, because he's that guy that plays the lotto.
Right.
And he got it in the budget to spend some money on the lotto. I'll just leave it right there. And he would always tell me, man, you can't win unless you play. And I'm
You're
like,
right.
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I'm not playing enough to have bill money going out of the house,
Exactly.
but I get where you're coming from. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, Mr. 3375. That is it, my friend.
That's right.
The Sham Pipple Room. Appreciate you. We're gonna take a break. Come back. We got Mr. LP Steven Sykes talking about the movie Black Panther and some other things. Look forward to having him on. Marcus J and the crew and you be back in a few. Y'all stay with us.